Samoa, and welcome back to Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 21, or as the real fans know it, Episode 22. That's right, I've remembered my intro. Well, yes, I think I said where today. You'd think I'd be better at this by now. But yeah, today we will be watching the title that's not written down anywhere. The Return of the Archons, I think is how you say it. Which is, of course, the one with Landru in it. This one's always interesting. I mean, for one, Lower Decks revisits this planet for, like, a cold open, so, you know, that's noteworthy. But, it's one of those episodes that I remember, like, one or two of the big, story points that happen, but the actual events of the episode I usually forget, and I forget like 2 or 3 other story points, and so it becomes it's always like, oh, that I forgot that happened in this episode, but who knows, maybe I've seen it enough times to remember. But I realized I'm getting ahead of myself, because if you don't know what we're doing, we are first off going to hide my mouse from the live stream, but we are basically going to be recording audio commentary track live. So what we're going to do is it's bring your own episode, as you can see, just for legal reasons. I can't stream, an episode of Star Trek. So Paramount Plus link in the description, or you can use like a disc or whatever. I use Blu-rays. But yeah, in a little bit, we are going to do a countdown, so get all set up. We're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and on go, we're all going to hit play, and then I can talk, and my words will be synced up to an episode. Or you could just watch it without the episode, but that'll be really weird. Yeah. But no, back to what I was saying. Like I was on Memory Alpha, to get the spelling of the episode name and get all the orders right. And I saw, like, a picture of one of those, like, monks with the sticks that are in this episode. I've just realized my water bottle is probably a little empty for a water lung. But yeah, I saw one of those. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this is the episode with the, like, stick monks. And, I was sitting here before the stream remembering some plot points, so we'll see. I might have finally remembered this episode for a watch-along. You know what? I actually am going to get some water. Getting some water, burb. It's funny, I checked I had enough water before I went live, and the water bottle was heavy, and now it's not. I will literally be gone for, 10 seconds. So in fact, have an ad. And I'm back. Didn't even mute my mic. Look at that. That's good. Didn't even send the chat message that I would be right back. Well, oh well. As I said, well, I didn't say it. As I was thinking of saying, as I said in my head, I think let's just go into the episode. So let me get 3, 2. I never remember which buttons those are. Oh, yes, we are also going to, I am going to be watching the remastered version. There's probably some special effects in this one. I can think of a few off the top of my head, probably nothing major. But if you want to watch the original, it shouldn't matter. It's just, if I comment off an effect, it might look different for you. But yeah, as I said before, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and on go, we're all going to hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I need to get VR set up so I'm more in shape, because running up and down the stairs to quickly fill water has put me out of breath. I forgot this episode starts, like, mid action. There's not a lot of those in TOS, are there? I'm sorry, that line read was amazing. The like, it's no use. They're everywhere. Yeah, look at him. He's like, I'm not buying that. He's a little posh and calm. I love the outfits though. I mean, the historical ones are usually pretty good because you can use standing sets and costumes. It's funny actually, the stick, like the one custom prop is clearly just a pole, but everything else is like beautiful standing set, you know, loads of details in the windows, wonderful costume work. Also, I forgot, is Sulu a main feature in this episode? Because that's nice. He hasn't gotten too many of those. Well, actually, he was a main character last week, wasn't he? Arc. Oh, yeah. I remember what an Archon is now. You know, I've never realized before. It's probably because they have to do the special effects, but the transporter room is like one of the few rooms that not lit crazily with like purples and greens and stuff. It's just pure white. So the walls actually do look a bit bare. This episode, I also have my little prepared anecdote, because I thought it was true and I double checked. It is the first time that Kirk talks a computer to death. This is the episode that introduces that trope. But I was also kind of surprised to learn that, at least according to Memory Alpha, he only talks a computer to death in 4 episodes. Which across 3 seasons, I mean, like, if it was 3 episodes, I'd think, that's fine. But I remember it being more prevalent, you know? Especially considering how many, like, computers and robots are the antagonists of episodes. No, now I've remembered what Archons mean. Wow, that's a big city. Which naturally includes Spock. We'll just put him in a hood, like he was the first Doctor. I do love the suits. I'm not used to, like, really good costumes in TOS. It's a pretty effective shot as well of, like, the slow... Yeah, look at those feet. Like, the really slow, deliberate walk where you hang your foot for a second or so. Like, you know, it's not the most powerful thing, but it's just slightly unsettling and captivating. Not to mention just the line deliveries. They would be bad anywhere else, but it's a pretty good like unsettling atmosphere. Oh well, she wasn't walking like everyone else. I think she missed a cue. Right. Now, I think they call it the red hour. I'll wait to see how they explain it, but this is always such a weird concept to me because it's the idea that like the one day, like you let all your craziness out, or like all crimes are legal, or even the death penalty is the punishment for everything, so there's no crime. Or like there's this one extreme thing that prevents all crime. And I think there's also, you know, the stuff about Landrew. There's an external influence here. But it's always such a weird one to me. I'm never a particular fan of those episodes. Especially the death penalty ones, where it's like, oh, we have the death penalty, so there's no crime ever, anywhere. It's like, real countries have the death penalty, and they still have people commit the crimes, and they regularly put people to death. It's just bizarre. Do they ever explain why they do the festival, actually? I like as well how they're talking. I mean, it's an effect of the remaster. They're talking about the valley. The other guy didn't recognize them as if, you know, as if he knows everyone in this small town. And they're talking about a valley. But we saw in orbit this, like, absolutely massive, like, 20 Tokyos size city. With absolutely no city anywhere else on, like, the quarter of the planet. And no seeming valleys, but... I love the spotlight that they shine on the fire, as if it was just so like rapid and artificial. Not to mention the fact that it's just pitch black out that window. Just lower the curtains if you don't want to show you don't have an outside. I will say, though, as much as, you know, they're doing a decent job establishing some sort of level of mystery. By the way, no way the sun set like that in an hour. It's a slow one. It's a slow one so far, and I'm hoping they pick up. Also, I actually wonder if this was a standing set, because they're wrecking it. It would be fun if CBS was gonna like get rid of a standing set, and so Star Trek was like, actually, could we wreck it for an episode? Did he bring a psychiatrist or a sociologist for this Rescue mission? Oh, I guess, yeah, because something's wrong with Sulu. No, that makes sense. These are all very nice suits. I don't know why I like them so much. I've always wondered about this, though. Who cleans up after the festival? Because they all just, like, walk around as they do. They don't start cleaning it. They're like, that's fine. But when we arrived, it wasn't, you know, messed up. And yeah, this one girl, like the main one, the daughter, really doesn't seem like they're part of the body either. I hope that goes somewhere, because, like, she didn't walk like the others. She's super emotional in her voice, unlike the others. Or did everyone else slowly walk into their houses and then, like, freak out? I mean, you didn't attend either. Surely Bones is old enough, you know, to just be fine not participating. Just metal poles painted brown. Good enough. Are they robots too? I can't remember. But it's a very robotic voice. It's pretty well done, especially considering for the time, though. Like, it's interesting. I am noticing again, though, if you look just on the stream, the time we've spent and the time remaining, you probably could have cut the first, like, 10 minutes of this episode or condensed it down, and then you'd have a 45-minute episode. Like, these episodes are always about 15 minutes too long. What was the one 2 weeks ago where it had the wrong title? Oh yeah, the alternative factor, where someone was like, let's watch, I was gonna watch the worst episode of Star Trek ever. I think this one's a little worse so far. It's just, it's slow. There's not a lot for me to sink my teeth into. Oh my god, that was... No, that's actually was logical. Spock, well done. You've graduated. You've did logic. Okay, I do like this scene. You know, I think Kirk might even do a better sort of serious stare than Picard. Especially given the reputation that, you know, a lot of people... That he has is, like, being Riker, basically. It's always pretty effective when he stands up to authority like this. not authority, but tyranny or injustice. Whereas Picard genuinely does get like angry, you know, he'll do like a sort of angry shout moralizing, which is great, don't get me wrong, but it's always really effective with Kirk. And I'll place bets now that I'll never see Paul Wesley do it. Although I guess you could argue that's a younger Kirk. He's not like a captain yet. Yeah. Is this the first time Spock's been down to a planet where we have to hide his ears? Because it's not a hat. It's like a massive cloak. It might be. Do you think they've wanted to do it for a bunch of these episodes? Like, when we went to Earth last time. But, you know, they just didn't think of a way because the ears. And someone this time was like, what about a cloak? Like, they're getting all these suits, they find a cloak, and they just go, brilliant! Oh, come on, have everyone stare at the camera. I was about to compliment how effective scenes like that were, and then they have a bunch of people not staring at the yeah, have them all just stare directly at the camera picking those up. It would be a lot more effective. That's right, I'm a director now. Slow enemies are always fun, though. Like, an enemy that walks, it only does so because it's so powerful it knows it doesn't have to run. Yep, thank you everyone else for firing. I'm glad it wasn't just Kirk. Yeah, no, it actually was just Kirk. No one else fired. I was like, okay, their arms are off screen, you know, the effect is difficult. But no, it's just Kirk. Okay, we'll have to remember this guy. We'll have to remember this guy and see if they abandon him on the planet, or if they take him with at the end. I have a feeling they just abandon him. Are we hiding in a dungeon? Interesting choice. This is probably exactly where they would want to keep you. I'm wondering if maybe whatever sets they're using only had a dungeon interior and a hotel. Well, I guess they need the dungeon eventually. It's just a light-up cube, Spock. I could construct a device like that. Granted, more sophisticated than, like... Actually, no, I'm not even sure it is more sophisticated than, like, Western technology. Like, that was around the time we were getting electricity. Is this the Borg? I mean, you know, it is just a hive mind, but it's not the most dissimilar thing from the Borg, at least superficially. I would be amazed, though, if this was inspiration. I do like the TOS. I'm gonna call it a hypo spray. I don't know if it actually is, but in the future, it's just kind of the thing you touch, and it's like, I guess sci-fi, the stuff, goes in the body. But the TOS one resembles a syringe more, and Bones actually has to, like, kind of push something in. It just feels like there's more going on. And it's still, ultimately, like, the stuff just goes in the body because magic. But it feels a little more technical to me, and I've always liked it. Like, the little loopy things that come off the side near the bottom, I think just help sell it for me. I don't remember that plot. How do the ships do battle? Because, like, I feel we get this a lot where they have the shields up, but if they, like, move or whatever, they'll have to lower their shields. But you move in battle, and you have the shields. The TOS Enterprise might be the one that, like, feels like it's held together by duct tape the most. Off camera. There he is. There's Landru. Oh, yeah. No, this is the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? That's probably older. Wait, yeah, Wizard of Oz. Is that like the 50s, the movie? Watch it be like the 20s, but they had color. 1939. That's what it looked like when the girl was crying like 20 minutes ago. No disease. How did Landru get rid of disease? Look, I'll give him all the other stuff, but I don't think the disease thing was on Landru. Thinking about it, when Landru came back in Lower Decks, isn't he pitched as, like, an evil computer that wants to subjugate? And that's kind of his thing. But he's really not. He's just one of those computers where he's told to, like, minimize suffering and comes to the logical conclusion that if, free will is gone, there's no suffering. Much more interesting. If, a little overdone at this point. I like Spock, who kind of just... Oh, there we go. He just looks like he's like, oh, this is curious. I wonder if he's supposed to react a little different at first because he's Vulcan, or if it's just, how the actors chose to play it. God, this is a slow one. I feel like half of this runtime isn't dialogue. It's just like silence or something, which it's a big ratio for TOS. Well, maybe don't hide in a dungeon. Look, tomorrow we're watching Tooth and Claw on Doctor Who. I can't believe that you managed to get below that line. Again, though, it's a little unfair because most of the meat of this episode is kind of around the mystery. And like the reason we're spending all this silence in these kind of long uncut shots is so you can, you can analyze the situation or get the sense of like unease or something being wrong. But when you know all the answers, there's nothing to replace that on a second viewing. And to be fair, this is TOS. Like, you, as far as they were aware making it, you'd never get a second viewing. It's the 1960s. But, just the fact of the matter that we can view it as many times as we want now means there's not a whole lot to it on your second viewing. I mean, it was hardly like standout on his first. For some reason, it just kind of clicked on me that I was thinking when he said, "Are we unarmed?" I had a thought: if we use the Vulcan nerve pinch yet, has that been invented? And I couldn't quite remember because we're watching these once a week, which I like never do. I'd watch them much more quicker. But for the first time, I'm actually watching Star Trek like you would have when it came out. Is like once a week you'd sit down and watch an episode, which is just the only thing I think I've ever done that since like I was 10 is the latest season of Doctor Who. Or, well, I guess all new Star Trek is technically like. Dude, how long have I been muted for? I adjusted my mic and I just saw the little flashing thing. I know I haven't been muted this whole time, but whoops. Actually, whoops. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, as I was saying, at least this music they play in the background we get to listen to is kind of nice. Hang on, why are we surprised that the lights are super advanced? Like, those magic sticks that everyone wields are way more advanced than that light. I never thought about that before. Because everything else about this town is like, Western times, or thereabouts. Maybe 20th century, actually, just like an old... I don't know, it's like old Southern American vibes. But yeah, they have magic sticks. I guess it's because they needed to be threatening, but you could have just had a gun. Like, we have guns in other episodes. There's a gun... I don't know, maybe it's something about having the character threatened by a gun that was a bit too much of a step. Who knows? Maybe magic was cooler. I remember you. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is why they hid in a dungeon. Maybe it was some sort of, like, safe space. So it's not contrived that this guy, who was the third contact in the Resistance, happens to be the leader of this compound. It's more that they went to this compound because, like, the contact marked it as a safe space, knowing he was in charge of it. So we have had a mind meld then, because I don't remember when, though, because Spock just tried to do one, and that'd be really weird if we hadn't established mind melds yet. It's just a phaser, Spock. You know, I was gonna say, you think maybe you'd have more of these booths, like conversion booths, but why? I guess. Yeah, see, Kirk's not doing the walk right. You gotta hang your foot for like a second before you set it down again. That's the real creepy part. He does not look happy. That's like the most emotion I've seen on his face yet. Oh my god, look, he even had like a, dang, emotional outburst. Why were you too late to save Kurt? You were there the whole time. I don't know, This is one of them there episodes. But at least we get Spock to do stuff now. He's great. Oh, yeah, Kirk is the third. Forgot about Bones. No, well, that makes sense. What was that just now? Oh, come on. At least try and put on a smile, Spock. Oh, he did. Never, okay, fair enough. I love as well how he had a smile, but he dropped it the instant he walked by the monks. Because of course Spock wouldn't smile. I do like, though, how Spock is so out of it, he's not even bothering to do the hand thing. He's like, come on, Captain. I refuse to be subject to this. I should have gone to the Vulcan Science Institute. I bet how much of this dialogue is like the equivalent of "Blessed be the body." Yeah, 20 minutes. This would have been a great 20-minute episode. Is that bad? He's pitching it like a peaceful and tranquil society is inherently bad, not specifically this one. Which, it's a fascinating thing that comes up in the 60s sci-fis I watch that is always, I feel, such an interesting insight into the Cold War and how people kind of view the world after World War II, well, World War One and the Cold War. Because you get these notions that, like, the violence, the crime, the whatever is like necessary, or even to the extent of being good. And you get a lot of speeches from Kirk about, like, humanity is inherently savage and violent to the point that, like, we have to spend conscious effort every day not to murder. Like, he's got his big, you just have to decide not to kill today, and that's something every single life form has to go through. I'm like, Kirk, what are you talking about? If someone has to spend conscious effort not to kill every day, they need help. Yeah, that was a weird bit. Vulcan is a peaceful, tranquil society. Oh yeah, Bones looks peaceful, violence-free, and not about to commit a crime. Hey, wait, they were walking fast. They were walking like Landru people. Well, he's coincidentally in this building. Quite funny. I want an episode one that goes like, no, 3,000 miles east of here. It's like, well, bugger. I guess we're stuck then. Spock, it's Scotty here. I'm trying to remind you that the Enterprise is in danger, because the audience has probably forgotten that factoid. In fact, I forgot about that factoid. That's why I wasn't at the communications office. Wait, yeah, what was Uhura doing, like, away from her station? Does Uhura have the skills to help solve the situation when, like, you have an active away party on the planet? Like, Landry was a person? God, lower decks, do your homework. This is basically Surik, but he put himself in a computer. Like, Spock was dissing this society, but literally Surik. In fact, Surik is also immortal because he's got his, like, Gatra floating around across different Vulcans, you know? I don't want to see Landru. Please submit me to Landru. This is a sensible decision. Ooh, that's a nice set, though. It actually weirdly gives off Romulan vibes, and I don't know why, but I like that set piece. Laundry? This is where I keep my laundry. I don't want you to see the state of my underpants. I would love to know what the handles are for, though, if that's how you open the door. Well, I won't be needing these weapons. Or this disguise. I wonder if he's behind this door-shaped alcove in the wall. I do really like the thing they do with this guy's neck, where I've never been sure if the neck is supposed to not be there, or if they've wrapped it in black, or if it's actually wrapped in black. Because the way they've done it with the black turtleneck in the projection makes it look like there's actually nothing there. I mean, they picked an actor with a long neck. They've really accentuated the fact that, you know, the neck isn't there. Well, that's a bit big. You remember the Archons, so why do they have to remember Kirk and Spock? Why would the projector be behind this projection? I mean, I know it is. There he is. There's Landrew. Looking exactly like the Enterprise computers. I will also never find it unfunny that every time they blast a wall, the phaser never goes through and damages what's on the other side. Lower decks, there's a joke for you. The crew fire at like a wall to get into the computer chamber, and then when the phaser stops firing, you see the hole in the wall, and also that they've blown up the computer behind the wall. Not yet. They're not inside the chamber yet. I mean, literally, like, a few episodes ago, we met, like, Dr. whoever, what the heck? What are little girls made of? Whatever that one was. He, like, made robots. Here we go. Such an inspirational scene, talking a computer to death. Let's do it 3 more times. As we all know, machines are required to answer questions. No, it sounds like he's following it to the letter. Is it? Do you have any evidence that the body is dying? Well, that's not what the directive was. The directive was harmony and continuation. You know, I have to say, this is the weakest possible argument, like, destroy the computer. Like, he literally outlined his directive. And I feel like he's fulfilling it to the letter, and they're throwing, like, oh, you need to change. It's like, no. Like, if anything, the directive said do not change. The directive was the continuation, not the perpetuation. Okay, but Landru just said he had creativity. Like, he had him, and he is the body. So, like, the body does have creativity. Come on! Logic! Writers! Take a Logic 101. And then I guess it went insane and turned into, like, a dictator, because, that's what Lower Decks said. The end. You know what? That was actually... This is a really passive story. Other than this scene here, I feel like the crew didn't really do anything. They had things happen to them, which isn't inherently bad. You can have good episodes that are also passive. It was just a slow, passive episode. That's not a good combination. So Sulu presumably came back to normal, like, 30 seconds ago when those monks came in, right? And he changed and ran to the bridge to take his station. Or someone else changed him, which is a funny thought. Oh, yeah, remember that guy? Did they pick up that one guy? I guess they brought him with him in the cells, so we can assume we can. It was like, it wasn't O'Brien. O'Connor, it was O something. Again, though, it's just, as far as, you know, the philosophical stuff goes, I always find them very empty arguments, because we couldn't make a computer like Landru, right? So let alone in the 60s. So the episode has said it's impossible to give a computer wisdom and creativity, ergo we shouldn't let computers rule the world. Look how clever we are. But you just as easily could have written it so that Landru could have transferred his wisdom and creativity, which plenty of people have done, right? Like, in terms of writing, yeah, people have written that. And then just said you can make a machine that is literally just Landru, who's immortal now. And you could have just as easily gone, well done, we're so clever. Like, you haven't really said anything. You've presented a concept, and which, I mean, I think in the 60s, that's basically the best you could have done with these computer ones, is you presented a concept of, like, presupposing that we can't, you know, that computers are, so to say, soulless. What would happen if we started relying on them too heavily? Which is worth considering, you know, given what was happening in the 60s and how we were getting more and more dependent on technology. But I don't think you can take an episode like this, or plenty of others, and put it forward as proof, or really any sort of, like, this is how things are gonna be, because you've written the rules and you've decided the rules are the outcome you want. It's like, yeah, you haven't said anything. But especially for the time, I suppose it's an interesting thought experiment. It's just very little for a rewatch when you know all the answers, and really slow. But I mean, it had a few nice little points or details. It was well constructed. I mean, for one. But yeah, I think we will wrap up there. Next time, what do I have? Next time, we will be doing a Taste of Armageddon. God knows what episode that is. Oh, God, that's the one. I've just pulled it up and I'm skipping through the frames. That's the one, with the two planets that are at war, but they're like simulating the war. Oh boy, there's one we can talk about. Speaking of an episode, yeah, no, this is one, I think I might just flat out disagree with, like philosophically. But yeah, after that we got Space Seed, and I think I'm gonna try and line things up so that Season 1 of TOS finishes the week before we start Lower Decks. At the moment, at the moment, there are 2 Saturdays I have to skip. I have to skip the 7th and the 14th of September. And that will bring it so that Season 1 ends on October 19th, and then on October 26th, we can pick up Lower Decks, Season 5. Yeah, and that just helps us with thumbnails, because in October, we already have Doctor Who Season 3 and Lower Decks Season 5 that need thumbnails. Literally the same week, we'll be doing those. And so just kicking Season 2 of TOS into January really helps us out there. But yeah, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!